Okay, folks, Captain Paul here, and today, I want to talk about affordable housing in the Florida Keys. Last week we talked about, low budget trawlers and stuff like that, but this week I want to talk about these boats and what the holy grail of these boats would be, and is it affordable living in the Keys? And the reason I say that is because it's just gotten so expensive out here. The other day we were out at somewhere and we were stopped in an RV park, and I looked at and I was checking the prices of these RVs, and just to stay, and I want to hear you guys' comments about this. Just to stay in the RV park was $4,000 a month, and I thought that, my God, that's outrageous. And then as me and Pete have toyed with the idea, we did this. We're working on this survey. And then we've toyed with the idea of selling Southern Estate, but we kind of got our butt kicked because if we want to stay here in the Keys, is it affordable living? And that's what this video is about, because what we found out is, a lot of these people that I work with, they rent these houses out here, and I don't even call them houses. They're like single wide trailers, and they're like $3,000 a month. And I'm going, oh my God, are you kidding me? This thing should be condemned. Little old lived in, and then pay $3,000 a month rent for. And so is a boat like one of these, 40-year-old trawlers, can you live in one out here in the Keys? What does it cost compared to a house, and is it more affordable than a house? And the answer to the question is probably yes. It probably is cheaper, because you can live here in the Keys anywhere from realistically about $400 a month to about $2,000 a month. Now down in Key West, it's about $6,000 a month for a 50-foot boat for the slip rent on that, and that's what we currently live on, is a 50-foot trawler here in the Florida Keys, and that's what this video is about. What is the holy grail of these trawlers? When you're looking for these trawlers, because I get phone calls every single day. For me, I think the holy grail is probably fuel tanks, because you don't want to cause a biohazard, and if you buy one of these old boats and then it starts to leak fuel, that can be a problem. I think people get hung up on that a lot, because there's a couple of different things you can do. We'll talk about it in another video on another day, about whether you have your tanks inspected, or if you know that the tanks were replaced in the boat. That is the holy grail of buying one of these old trawlers. And are they out there? And I could just use examples of Southern Estate. She's a 1982 Marine trader, and she's had her tanks replaced. Her tanks are about 15 years old. Blue Max, which is another, it's about the same year. It's about a 1981, I think, trawler, and it has its tanks replaced in it too. And then Harold, I'm going to take you down in the engine room this week and show you that boat, and I'll show you right now, because Harold actually lost the prime in it. I don't know how many of you guys watched that little short that I did, but I had to go in there and prime the engine because he actually lost the prime on one of the engines. But I want to go in there and show you all the stuff that that I would recommend that you do after buying one of these old boats, if you want it to be a moving trawler and not a liveaboard, because there's a big difference. If it was just going to be a liveaboard trawler, I would tell Harold not to do anything to the boat. But if he wants to, there's a possibility you can go do America's Great Loop. It's possible that, I think they're talking about going up the river system. But whatever they do, they want a running trawler. This is what I would do for the running trawler. But if I wanted to just be a liveaboard down here in the Florida Keys, it is good. It's good what it is. You got replaced fuel tanks on it. He paid less than $50,000 for it. No, that's what he paid, $50,000 for it. The point of the video is it has the fuel tanks have been replaced, all the teak decks have been removed, and that's my second thing, and I want to hear your comment about that too, because my number one thing is fuel tanks. My number two thing are the teak decks. A lot of people, I've had arguments, especially on Facebook. I love Facebook. Anyway, on Facebook, where they say, hey, you ruined the boat by taking the teak off. Well, if the teak decks, if you have teak decks on your 40-year-old trawler, and then you have screws through those teak decks, you have teaking decks. And so for me, it's like mowing grass. Do I want to take care of that teak? Do I want to take care of the screws? Do I want to recock the decks? Do I want to do all that? No. If I want to do that, I'll just go buy a house where I can mow the grass. So for me, fuel tanks, no teak decks, and the reason is because I don't want to take care of those teak decks, and I don't want I don't want them leaking into the inside of the boat, because the number one thing on any of these boats, and the first thing you do if you ever buy one or looking at one, does the boat have any internal leaks or extra leaks? Like when it's raining, is there any rainwater coming down on you or inside the boat? And if there is, that's your number one thing. Number two things would be fuel tanks, and then does the boat run or doesn't it run? You can't get in a lot of the marinas if the boat is not in running shape. You cannot get into the marinas, so it doesn't really matter if it's gas or diesel. And the reason I bring that up is because right now I'm looking for somebody. I'm not looking for somebody. Somebody just brought up that, hey, Paul, I got like a $20,000 budget. Can we buy a boat for that? And the answer is yes, you can. But how well is it going to be and running? And then they asked me the question yesterday of, do I want Ford Lehmans or do I want gas engines? And I told them, well, at a $20,000 budget, to buy one of these things, if the engines ran and you could pull it in and out of the marina, that's probably the most important thing. Because, a running trawler, the one that you can get in and drive and go to the Bahamas and go do America's Great Loop, that's completely different. Because now you're asking the boat to, now you don't just have to have someplace to live, but you got to be able to make a move. And when you want to make a move on the water, that costs a lot of money. So it's just something to think about when you're looking at one of these old trawlers. And the price reflects all of that. So if you want to buy a trawler that, let's say, is $50,000, and you expect for $50,000 you're going to replace fuel tanks, you're going to have a good engine room and good engine room hygiene, and a good solar panels and all that stuff. It's probably not, that's probably not realistic of a budget. But if you have that budget where, let's say I would say the boat's $100,000 and under, and you wanted to live out here in the Keys, it's probably the cheapest way to live, because like I said, you can't touch nothing out here in the Keys for less than probably, I don't know, $300,000 or $400,000. Even though the boat is a let's say $80,000, $90,000 or even $50,000 investment, as long as you keep it up, floating and running and in decent shape, you should be able to recoup most of that money if you don't overpay for the boat, if that makes sense. You just want to pay right around that buck value for the boats. And then, and if they run, that's a bonus. If it has a dinghy, that's a bonus. If it has, all the options that it needs, those are all bonuses and can recover more money more quickly. And so you could technically come out here, you could live in the Keys, and you could live, for under $2,000 in a boat. I don't believe you could do that in an RV unless you have a friend that you can pull it into their house. But I don't think the RV lots, I do, because we did look at a few RV lots, and you can get the RV lots for around, it seems like $1,500 to $1,800 a month. But the big problem that we found with that is a lot of that is seasonal, and they kick you out for the 2 months or the 3 months while it's in season, and they charge more money. So finding an RV lot that is year round is very, very, that's a little bit more complicated, but they are out there. We have seen them. But the lot that, like we went down, and this is right outside of Marathon. We just went over to this RV lot. It's $4,000 a month to park your RV, and I want to hear your comment. What do you think? Is that too much? I stayed at that very same RV park 15 years ago, and it was like, I don't know, it was like $89 a night or something like that. So it wasn't too bad. It was still high, but even back then, but it was like I think it was $80 a night. I was in my Bev's truck camper. I love that. And we stayed in that exact same resort, but now today, there's no way. I mean, that's not even possible. So, guys, I appreciate it so much. Let's try something a little bit different today. Sitting here on the Truman, actually. I love this old wood boat. I'm gonna be sad when they do finally retire her, because we just got the brand new Bess not too long ago, and now the Woodson, which is our like a 40-foot pilot house boat. That's our big passenger boat that thing can hold 40 people. is in for maintenance right now. So today I'm sitting in the Truman, just talking about I'm doing my video from the Truman tonight. So that's kind of cool, actually, I think. Anyway, peace out. God bless you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. I want to hear your comments this week. Anybody coming out here to the Florida Keys, is it affordable living? And what are you experiencing on your house? But I think the prices of rent's gone up a lot. The prices in the restaurants have gone up a lot. And so it is what it is. If you want to live in paradise, you got to pay for paradise, I guess. Anyway, again, peace out. God bless. Have a great week, and thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Bye.